Greetings, old school magic players, and welcome to the Four Horsemen. Greetings, old school magic players. Welcome to the Four Horsemen Old School Magic Players group. Today we're going to be covering some of our tournament number 19 quarterfinals matches. I'm joined here today with my friend and co-host, John Eccleberry. John, how's it going?
Good.
All right, we are back at it again. It's been a while since we've done one of these matches, and we're going to be covering one of the last of the Tournament 19 quarterfinals matches today. John, this is an interesting one. You're going to like these decks. We've got a lot of red in both of them, and we'll get into those in just a minute. For the viewers, Four Horsemen Old School Magic is the only Old School Magic format focused on the original first four expansions of Magic the Gathering. The 1993-94 first four expansions: Arabian Nights, Antiquities, Legends, and the Dark. If you like these original expansions and would like to see some of the cards that rarely see play in other formats, you'll really want to check out the Four Horsemen. Check us out at fullhorsemanmagic.com, and you can join us at facebook.com/group/4horsemenmtg. For Tournament 19, this tournament ran February 15th through March 16th, and you can see all the details at fullhorsemanmagic.com/tournament19. We have some great prizes featured in this tournament. John, who's with us today, did these really cool tokens and proxy cards that we give out to our top 8 players. And John, I don't know if there's any new ideas in the works for some of the participation prizes, but the players have really enjoyed receiving these.
I'm glad. Mostly they're just utilizing art from the old 90s comic books. And then some tokens from the old Microprose video game. But they've gone over pretty well. People seem to like them.
Yeah, really cool stuff. And we also, for our first place winners, if you take the tournament down and win first place, we give you one of the Four Horsemen Ken Meyer Jr. Guardian Beast Purple Moonlight playmats. This is unique art, specifically that Ken did for the Four Horsemen. And there's a great video on our YouTube channel interviewing Ken about this artwork. You can only get these playmats from the Four Horsemen. They're signed, numbered, stitched. Really, really cool playmats with great custom Four Horsemen artwork. And since we're getting this video out before our next tournament has started, a quick plug for Tournament 20. John, can you believe we are on tournament number 20 for Four Horsemen?
That's pretty wild. I think it's been about 3 years, and we run them on a somewhat irregular schedule. What do you say, about every 6 weeks?
Yeah.
There's a tournament, and yeah, it's great. It's amazing that it's still going.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we continue to see interest and growth for any of you who'd like to play in our next tournament. This tournament will start April 4th, 2025, and run through May 11th. And we'll be giving out the prizes we just covered in this tournament. So if you want to play and join us, go to fullhorsemanmagic.com, and you can click on current tournament, tournament number 20, and there's links to sign up and join us. You can also join on the Facebook group event link at facebook.com/group/4horsemenmtg. Come join us for tournament number 20. All right, John, let's get into this quarterfinals tournament 19 match. Today we're going to be looking at the match of Jacob Monk versus Lucas Santos. Jacob's one of our European players, and Lucas is one of our Australian players, and we're going to be covering that match today. For Jacob, we have Old Men in the Sky. And for Lucas, we have Ollie Red Robots. As I mentioned, John, you're going to really like these two decks. There's some really cool, spicy cards from the Dark and from Legends and Arabian Nights. Really cool brews. Let's get into the deck techs. Starting off with Jacob Monk. This is a really interesting version 2 of Jacob's red-blue Old Man of the Sea immolation deck. John, you remember commenting on this in the last tournament. This is a slightly tweaked and improved version. What do you think of Jacob's brew here? Old Men in the Sky with Diamonds, as he calls it.
I like it. He plays red blue in most formats, as I think I've mentioned in other videos, and so he's at the point where he's tweaking, his lists for the various formats, kind of working out the kinks and getting them as efficient as possible. I like this. I think there's a lot of efficient cards in this build. There's not really much to comment on or to cut. I'm trying to think of what the major differences are between this and the last build. Do you happen to recall?
Well, I don't have the exact deck photo from the prior tournament in front of me, but I know that Jacob has really brewed around the interactions of Old Man of the Sea and City of Shadows, which is a really interesting card from the Dark. And I'll pull that up here on the Gatherer. So City of Shadows, this is a card with some really cool art by Tom Winterstrand, and basically it doesn't tap for mana unless you sacrifice a creature to it. But if you sacrifice a creature, it removes it from the game, and you put a counter on City of Shadows, and then it adds X colorless mana to your mana pool, where X is equal to the number of counters on it. So each time you sacrifice a creature, it can tap for more and more mana. And of course, with Old Man of the Sea, Old Man of the Sea is a really spicy Arabian Nights card. And let me pull that up. And Old Man of the Sea has been kind of a staple in Four Horsemen that's just been really powerful and really fun to see in a lot of the other decks. And Old Man of the Sea is 2 blue and 1, and it's a 2/3 creature. So, it's not bad on power and toughness, but you tap it and you gain control of a creature with power no greater than Old Man's power. So you can basically grab a creature equal to or less than the Old Man's power, and that allows you to steal that creature. And then, of course, if you need to, you can sacrifice it using the City of Shadows. So it's a really cool combo. And the other synergy that Jacob has is Immolation. Talk about a sidewalk magic, old school card that we all played with as kids, and which you rarely see played in other formats. Immolation from Legends. Let me pull that up as well. 1 red, and it's an enchant creature and gives your target creature +2/-2. So Immolation can either just destroy a weenie, a one power or toughness of 1 or 2 creature, or you can put Immolation on a creature and then reduce. You can add to the power of, like, for example, the Azure Drakes or the Ghost Ships, or even to Old Man himself. So it works as a great offensive and defensive card and has a lot of synergies with Jacob's interactions.
Yeah, I dig it. Let's take a look at the Red Robots deck.
All right. So for Red Robots, Ali Red Robots is a really interesting brew from Lucas Santos. Lucas has been doing really well in the Four Horsemen prior tournaments. I believe this is his 4th or 5th tournament, and he's always made it into top 8. He's made it into the semifinals, and even I believe the finals a couple of times. And he's been doing some really interesting brews. This one, John, I figured is very near and dear to your heart with so much red, your favorite color.
I do love red cards. It's interesting. There's been several variations of this kind of brew, and also I feel like Lucas has played a number of different red decks, whether or not they be robots. But this one, leans into the robots that we see frequently on the top end: the Clockwork Avian, the Triskelion, and then of course the Workshop to help get them out early if you're lucky enough to draw it. He's also playing Dancing Scimitar, which is a card that we've seen more and more of. Pretty good blocker, and can also chip in for some damage in the air. We haven't seen a ton of Valley from Cairo. We do see him occasionally, but he's kind of interesting. Kind of a non-bow with Chain Lightning. If they also have red in their deck, because they're just going to bounce it back and kill him. But I don't know. Maybe he can use the Coffin to shield it. Or, I guess that's the only thing in this deck, really, that he can use to protect it. It's funny, Jacob's the one that's on red-blue, but you could build a red-blue deck that has Ollie and Spectral Cloak. I don't know if anybody's actually tried that in a Ford Horsemen tournament yet. I know that you had a brew of that for testing, but I don't know if you ever played it.
Yeah, Ollie from Cairo, he's really interesting. He's not a card that like you said, he's not a card that's seen a ton of play. I mean, he's kind of expensive. He's double red. He costs, 4 total. He's a 0/1, like you pointed out. He's really easy to destroy. And yeah, the classic Spectral Cloak Ollie from Cairo combo is definitely out there. It's just really hard to protect Ollie. But late game, if your opponent's not playing red and they don't have direct damage, and they don't have a way to, steal your creatures, Ollie can be very valuable late game when you're extremely low on life. It's a card that you basically wouldn't want to play until mid or late match. But it could be a lifesaver in certain scenarios if it's a close match, and all you need is to draw into maybe a Ball Lightning with this deck, or one of the Triskelions, or a Chain Lightning or Pyrotechnics. Even that Detonate, could be a card that could, make the difference in the match. So it's really cool to see Ollie from Cairo here. The other card that's interesting, this is a card I remember when you did your all red deck, John, is the Eternal Flame. We haven't seen that in a while either. Let me pull up Eternal Flame here.
I like Eternal Flame. I feel like there's no X spells in this format, and so it's a way to get in for a giant chunk of damage in one shot. As long as your life total isn't too low. I mean, you do take some backdraft from it, but he's running mostly mountains, which makes this pretty solid. If he happens to cast a Blood Moon, that will also turn all of his non-basics into mountains to fuel the Eternal Flame.
That's right. Yeah, the combo with Blood Moon and Eternal Flame late game could be really powerful. Looks like he's just got the one Blood Moon in his sideboard, but he's got 3 of these Eternal Flames, and between the Ball Lightnings, the Chain Lightnings, the Pyrotechnics, all the Triskelions, and the Detonates, it's a way to kind of top off and finish the damage late game. Although it does deal part of the damage to you, right? It says Eternal Flame deals X damage to target opponent or planeswalker, and half X damage rounded up to you, where X is the number of mountains you control. So really interesting card, but it's also a little pricey. But again, it's kind of like a late game thing. You're not going to want to play this early in the match. So this is we can tell by Lucas's brew here that he's really designed this for late game. And that creates some challenges with the early game, because if you look at Lucas's deck, he doesn't have a ton that can come out early, except for the Yidwin Ifrit, his one Mishra's Factory, the Ball Lightnings, which are primarily for offense. And then if you look in the lower right-hand corner, is that wall of earth down there, or what is that wall down there, John?
I was just going to ask you. Let me zoom in on it and see if I can tell.
I think it's wall of earth, right?
The 06 for colorless and red. Yeah, I think
right.
That's what that is.
That's what it is.
So that's an early drop that can kind of shield him for a while. And of course, he also hopes that if he drops an alley from Cairo, he can just survive whatever and then chip in.
That's right.
I mean, alley's also really vulnerable to opposing Triskelions, which are all over the place. Although I don't know that Jacob had any in his deck, did he?
We can. I don't think he did. No, because he's on a much more aggro plan. So this wall of earth, it looks like he's got his dice counter at 2 on these. I've got the wall of earth pulled up here on the Gatherer.
Yeah.
This is Richard Thomas art. It's like a cave with, if you really look in there, it's this red muscle bound troll looking thing that's kind of back behind the stalagmites and stalactites. It's not a card we see often, but it only costs 1 and 1 red, and it's a 0/6. So think about it. It can block almost everything that is showing up in modern, full horseman play in terms of creatures.
Yeah, and there's almost no red good true drops. So I mean, it gives you something in that spot. I would almost be tempted to just play 4 of those and no alley from Kairos if it was like a more streamlined kind of thing, although I think his version is spicier for sure. The only other really playable 2-drop is Atog, and I don't think he has enough cheap artifacts to power that. I mean, you could go a different direction with this deck and play the Urza's lands and maybe like even more colorless stuff, but I don't know. I like where he landed with it, and I like that he has the utility of having white spells both in his board, and I guess he's got none main board, just sideboard cards for the white cards, but those are definitely helpful and powerful when he needs them.
Yeah, it's true. We didn't talk about sideboards yet, but yeah, in Lucas's sideboard, he's running white. It's kind of surprising. He's got 4 plateaus in the lower right-hand corner and 4 plains in the upper right there. And in his sideboard, he's got 3 Spirit Links and 2 Divine Offerings. So he's got some ways to deal with aggro creatures early, and he's got a couple of ways to deal with artifacts. Although he's only got the 2 Detonates main, and then he's got the 2 Divine Offerings sideboard. So he doesn't have a ton of anti-artifact spells, and we do see a lot of artifacts in Full Horsemen these days.
Yeah, they're all over the place for sure.
Right, and we didn't really look at Jacob's sideboard. Let's look back at Jacob's sideboard. It's kind of down on the bottom underneath the title there, but he's got the usual suspects, the Flash Floods and the Active Volcanoes, but he's got 4 Spikes, Flash Counters, a Mirror Universe, and he's got 2 Shatterstorms and a Energy Flux. That's really interesting. We haven't seen Energy Flux in quite a while.
Yeah, Energy Flux is, like you said, really good against a bunch of artifacts that you're seeing in the format, and he's not really playing any. I mean, he's got that 1 tower main board, but he can pay the upkeep on that if he needs to.
Right.
I guess he's got the Felwar Stones. They're a little bit iffy with the Flux, because you're either going to have to use them to help pay for themselves or just let them go. He's not playing Sage of Latnom, so he can't sack him to draw cards. That might be a card that might find its way into this deck somehow, although I don't know where he'd make room for it, because it looks like his list is pretty tight.
Yeah. I think we're going to be seeing more and more Energy Flux as a lot of these artifact-heavy decks and lots of enchantments and things really start to influence the meta. But the other card that I wanted to look at in Jacob's deck that I also think is one of the most underutilized, powerful Full Horseman cards. We've seen it in a few decks, and we've seen it pop up from time to time. That is Mirror Universe. I'm going to pop this up here. Mirror Universe, such cool art from Phil Foglio. And you basically, it costs 6, so it's pricey, but you tap it, you sack it, and you exchange life totals with your opponent. And you can only activate it during your upkeep. But this card is such a powerful game swinger, and we don't see it as much as I think we maybe should have, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of it.
Yeah, we've seen it off and on, I think, but not in droves, and not. It doesn't always come out even in the decks that have it in their side. We don't actually see it hit the table a whole lot, but there are certainly instances where it could turn the game around.
Right. Yeah.
It's clause where it has to be activated at upkeep hampers it a bit. But sometimes the opponent just doesn't have artifact removal at all, so it's not. And then suddenly they have to make a lot of different decisions. Do they not attack, or do they, mana burn themselves or whatever to keep parity with you, so that you don't activate it? It makes for a bit trickier scenario.
Yeah, and they basically have one turn. Once you play it, they have one turn to figure out how they're going to either deal with it, get rid of it, or adjust their gameplay. And often what happens is, since we do play with mana burn for Horsemen Old School, a lot of players will be forced to mana burn themselves down to parity, like you were saying, with their opponent, and that can be a huge source of damage. And you've only got that one turn to figure it out. So it forces a lot of decisions in a quick amount of time and can really turn the game. Okay, with that, John, let's get into this match of Jacob's Old Man in the Sky versus Lucas's Ollie Red Robots. I'm going to get the match queued up here.
All right, I am ready, and I've got mine set to 1.5.
Okay, and I'm going to validate that I have mine on 1.5.2, playback speed 1.5. All right, and we'll switch over and count us down. All right, on 3, John. 1,
all right.
2, 3. So we've got Jacob on the left and Lucas on the right. We got some spectators in this match as well, which is always cool to see. It's becoming more and more popular for opponents to watch the matches live if they've already played their games, which is really cool. Looks like the guys are still shuffling up here. Based on what we've seen, John, what's your prediction as to who might win match 1 here?
Well, I think that Jacob's deck is both refined, and also he's very comfortable with this play style and with this deck. So I think he's got a bit of an edge there. Although, Lucas is not new to the format. He's been playing quite a bit too, and he's also been refining his play skills and various builds. He does have kind of a lot of answers in the form of burn to be able to remove old men and other things. I mean, I think that the ghost ships are going to be pretty good in this match. In fact, they might determine the match if Jacob's able to chip in for flying damage over and over while Lucas is trying to develop his board. Lucas's stuff costs a little more. He's got a lot of 5 and 6 drops, so I don't know. And we already see Jacob coming out pretty strong here with a Felwar Stone and with a Maze of Ith for any early attackers. There's a Yidwin Ifrit right there, which is a pretty good one to be beaten in with, but it's just going to get mazed.
Yeah, we didn't cover Yidwin Ifrit in the deck tech review, but it's a 3/6 for 3 red that, it's mainly designed as a blocker, but it can attack for 3 damage, and not much can take it out at 6 defense. But you're right. The Maze of Ith here for Jacob is really fortunate to get that early. It's going to easily deal with that Yidwin Ifrit. Meanwhile, he's got his Azure Drake coming out, 2/4 flyer in the air.
Yeah, and a 4 toughness dude can also block the 3/6 with no problem. So he's got a lot of answers to Lucas's ground stuff. I mean, Lucas can't really throw down like a ball lightning or anything either because of that maze. So I don't know. It just doesn't leave him with any real great early plays.
Yeah. Maze of Ith has been discussed so much in other formats, and it's been restricted down in some of the other old school formats, and a lot of old school players have discussed it, discussed the kind of the meta of how difficult Maze of Ith can be when you've only got one strip mine. And in some formats, it's unrestricted with one strip, which can be really be a problem. And here in Four Horsemen, we've got one strip, so at least you can deal with it. But there's so many other lands that need to be dealt with. That's where the Blood Moon really tends to shine. It'd be able to help you deal with all these utility lands.
Yeah, it's a prime target for the strip mine if he draws it. I mean, I guess also post sideboard, the Blood Moon could shut it off as well. But Maze is pretty good. I can't imagine really allowing more than one copy of it. I mean, we did early on when we were in our kind of Wild West phase, but I think it's definitely a card that's worthy of restriction.
Yeah. So nobody's really taken any damage here. It's been a lot of back and forth. Jacob's got his Mishra's Factory down now, as well as the ever-powerful Diamond Valley. That's part of his combo. I mean, he's got everything he needs here in terms of his lands. He's got a strong defense. He's got his flying Drake to chip in the air 2 every turn. Lucas does get a Diamond Valley of his own, and that could be a total game changer in terms of his life points. John, we didn't talk about that, but the Diamond Valley with the Yidwin of Freet, the Yidwin has a 6 defense, so he can gain 6 life by sacrificing it to the Diamond Valley at any time.
Yeah, Yidwin's pretty good with Diamond Valley. That's a lot of extra life that could potentially swing a game. So Lucas comes down with a flyer here, which, again, would be much better if that maze wasn't out there, because he could attack and, it would be able to kill the Drake on block. So what is going on here? He's attacking with the Drake to see if he block. I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't block and then he just mazes his own creature. Just wanted to see what he would do.
Well, the attack here will force Lucas to block, right? Did he? And then he mazed it, but so it comes out of it basically doesn't deal damage, right? And that forces the counter trickle down on the Clockwork Avian.
Yeah, the Avian loses a counter, but it's not. I don't know. It wasn't really even much of a threat to begin with in this scenario. I think I'd rather have the maze up on the opponent's turn. Because, now he can just jam Ball Lightning like he just did.
Ooh, look at that. Right. Yes, so big hit for Lucas here, coming in with the 3/6.
Yeah, had he not done that goofy trick to try to take a counter off the Avian, he could have mazed the Avian and blocked the Ifrit, or mazed the Ball Lightning and blocked the Ifrit, and, taken a lot less damage, but now he has to make some choices. I mean, I guess he blocks the Yidwin and takes 9? That's a lot.
Damn. Yeah, that's a heavy-duty hit. So that was very tactically correct, but also very strategic on Lucas's part to, look for an opportunity where Maze of Ith is tapped and then play the Ball Lightning. Pretty crafty. So let's see. That is 5 damage for Jacob. Is that right?
So why did he only take 5? He must have blocked.
He blocked the Ball Lightning, perhaps with the.
The math doesn't work for me. He couldn't have blocked the Ball Lightning because he finished it off with a chain. So he blocked one of the others. So he should have taken 9, but he only took 5. I'm confused.
Well, the Yidwin was 3, the Clockwork Avian was 3, and the Ball Lightning was 6. He could have taken just the Yidwin and the Clockwork. Maybe he blocked with the factory. No, that's a ground creature. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. And so he's gaining life by.
Oh, you know what? You know what happened? He took 9 and then he gained 4.
Right.
By stacking his
Drake to the Diamond
Drake
Valley.
That was going to die anyway.
Yeah.
Because Lucas tried to finish it off with a chain lightning, and then he sacked it to gain 4.
That's right.
We just didn't see all of that because he did the math before he adjusted his life total.
Right. So that shows the power of Diamond Valley, and we've noticed that in Four Horsemen, players that have Diamond Valley versus players that don't tend to win the match. And every creature that dies that won't kill your opponent's creature gives you life. So it's a really, really powerful card and can be used very strategically. Now this is interesting. Lucas is playing his wall of Earth here, which can be stolen by the old man and then Diamond Valley. I don't think that's a very good move at all in this scenario. But he's got.
I mean, he might just Diamond Valley it himself when he goes to steal it. But see, now he's got the combo with the. He's pumped the old man with immolation, and he can steal bigger stuff with it.
Yeah. So now he can actually.
Well, what does he steal? Does he steal the clockwork? Is that the best thing to steal? Yeah.
It looks like he was targeting the clockwork because Lucas paid to put the counters back on it, and now he Diamond Valleys it and gains 4 life. But yeah, now Jacob has a +2, -2 old man, so it makes the old man from 2/3 to 4/1. He can take over and steal any creature power 4 or less. The Diamond Valley is really, on Lucas's side, is really helping him deal with Jacob's combo, even with the Maze of Ith.
Yeah, he's able to sack anything that gets targeted, which is kind of nice, but it'll eventually wipe his own board, and he won't have stuff to attack with. Jacob's still in pretty good shape at 16 life, so I don't know. This is certainly anybody's game still.
Yeah. Yeah, 16 for Jacob, 18 for Lucas. But you're right. Lucas is having to basically wipe out his entire offense and defense with his Diamond Valley as Jacob tries to steal everything.
Also, now he's in a position where he basically shouldn't play anything until he draws removal for... Yeah, see, I don't like that. I don't like playing that second wall at all. Unless his plan is to just immediately, sacrifice, to the Valley, which I guess he's going to do. But I don't like putting himself in a bind where that might be tapped when he doesn't want it tapped.
Right.
Yeah.
And, he's just having to constantly... Lucas is having to constantly just eat his own dudes to his own Diamond Valley. And, he hasn't come into a ton of direct damage. We haven't seen the Chain Lightnings or Pyrotechnics. He's probably just holding on to get his Eternal Flames once he's got more mountains.
Pyrotechnics would be pretty okay here. He could kill the old man and send 3 to Jacob's face.
So if you're Jacob, what are you thinking here? What you've got your ghost ship now. You've got the factory. You've got the old man. I mean, it looks like he's in really strong position to take over the lead for this match.
Yeah, he weathered the storm and got rid of all the opposing threats. And now Lucas is just sitting there on a pile of land and nothing else. So, I mean, it looks like he's about to tap for something. Coffin, maybe? No, Alley from Cairo.
Ooh, no.
Well, that seems really not great, because he's just going to steal it with, the old man.
Yeah, he's going to have to kill it with the Diamond Valley. Oof, yeah, this is a rough spot for Lucas to be in. Lucas needs some direct damage to kill that old man, and he just can't.
At 0-1, he might as well just attack with everything, which he did. Or did he try to steal it, or did he just tag with everything? Might as well just swing with everything at this point with the life totals where they were. You don't even need to try to steal the old man right now.
Right. Yeah, it's looking rough for Lucas. I mean, he's got a lot of direct damage in his deck, and it's really unfortunate that he hasn't seen any of it. He's got 4 Chain Lightnings, 3 Pyrotechnics, and 4 Triskelions, but he hasn't been able to come into any of these. He has a Maze of Ith of his own. Oh, finally, he gets some direct damage. He must have been really hurting over there trying to draw into the direct red damage.
Yeah, it's okay, but it's not great because he can't kill 2 things. So like he's just gonna have to kill the old man and send 3 to the face. Oh, the old man gets boomeranged, so he doesn't even kill it.
Ugh. Boomeranged? Oof, man. Boomerang strikes again. Boomerang is such a powerful card in 4 Horsemen. I love it. It's got so many.
It's one of my favorites. I really like it.
It's so sneaky, and and there's not a lot of instant interactions in combat, which is why things like Diamond Valley, Maze of Ith, and even what we saw in Jacob's deck, the City of Shadows. Also, one of my cards I've been playing around with is that Safe Haven. These are all cards that really shine in combat because they're instant interactions along with Boomerang. Old man comes
I like
back.
Safe Haven quite a bit. That's an alternative card that could be played with the old man. Although I do kind of like the City of Shadows is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's City of Shadows pretty good, and Safe Haven's drawback is if you ever have to sack it, then the players who own the cards put them back into play as if they were just cast. So Safe Haven's really good on your own creatures. It's to save them from things like boomerangs or chain lightnings or different stuff, but it's not so great against opponents' creatures, and taking control of them with stuff like Old Man.
Right. I mean, how does Lucas get out of this? Like, what does he even really want to draw? See, the problem is these flyers, at the end of the day, are just going to kill him over time, and I don't think he really has an answer for them.
His only hope is he needs to draw into a Maze of Ith of his own. And he does have 2 Fissures in his deck, so he needs Fissures. He needs more direct damage. He's got 2 more Pyrotechnics and 4 Chain Lightnings total. He needs his direct damage and his Maze of Ith to be able to climb out of this, but at this point it seems highly unlikely. Lucas is down to 6 life. Jacob at 11. All right. Looks like Lucas is throwing in the towel here with that last hit from Jacob. Man. Okay, John, let's take a pause here on 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's jump over and look at these sideboards again, and let's see what do we think Lucas and Jacob are going to sideboard here.
Jacob, well, I think there's going to be some flash floods coming in on Jacob's side.
Yeah, flash flood's been a staple of all the blue decks in 4 Horsemen. That's another card that is an instant, and it's really powerful. Both Flash Flood and Active Volcano are 2 super powerful cards, and it's almost reason enough to play red-blue by itself just because of these 2 cards, right? Flash Flood is 1 blue and instant, destroy a red permanent or...
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty powerful, like, sideboard suite to be able to have both.
Yeah, being able to run 4 of these Flash Floods and destroy 4 red permanents, especially when we know things that are really crushing the meta, like, the Rook Egg, really powerful. And even things like ATOG, ATOG decks can be really, really strong. You sack all your artifacts and your ATOG gets huge. But if you're playing blue, you can just wipe it out in response with, a 1 blue instant Flash Flood. Really strong. Jacob's got 3 Flash Floods and 3 Active Volcanoes in his deck. So those are definitely going to be coming in. He didn't see much artifact hate, so yeah, that's probably it, right? Just the 3 Flash Floods for Jacob.
Yeah, I don't think he really needs any of the other stuff, and I'm not sure what he even sides out for those. I don't know, just a couple cards here and there, I guess. On the other side, we'll see Active Volcano coming in, of course, for the blue permanents. That's gonna really help shore up his game against those 2/4 flyers.
Yeah, let me pull up Active Volcano. It's the Flash Flood's counterpart. Great card from the Legends expansion set that, you know, we haven't seen a lot of this card in many of the other old school formats, but certainly here in Four Horsemen, Active Volcano is a powerhouse against blue. Once again,
well, normally people would be playing red and blue blast, but of course without ABU, you know, you're playing these alternatives, which are kind of interesting. The spin that the designers took on them, where they can bounce a land, or destroy a permanent of that color. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, particularly with Active Volcano, it's really good to, in certain control scenarios, if you don't want your opponent to be able to maybe before combat or after combat counterspell certain things, you can return that island to their hand. Or even, like Brian Weissman pointed out in some of our earlier commentaries, that the tempo of Four Horsemen is slower than a lot of the other old school formats, so you have a lot of time to develop your board. And cards like Active Volcano and Flash Flood can really mess with your opponent's tempo just by moving those lands back to the opponent's hand and setting them back on mana. So Lucas also has Blood Moon. Blood Moon will hurt him and his opponent, but honestly, I think it'll hurt his opponent more because his entire deck is built around Old Man and the lands. So I definitely think that Lucas's Blood Moon needs to come in here.
I also kind of like that there's only one. So, like, yeah, he might not draw it, but if he does, he's not going to be drawing those useless duplicate copies later. You know, and once it lands, it's not really possible to be destroyed. Jacob doesn't have anything to get rid of enchantment. I mean, I guess he could boomerang it in a pinch if he had to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess he brings it in. Again, it's tough to decide what he might want to take out in this matchup. I don't think Allie's very good in this matchup, so those could come out. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe the walls. There's not really any ground guys coming at him.
Yeah, there is the potential for the beefed up, immolated Old Man of the Sea hitting in for 4 on the ground. His strategy really has to be, how does he deal with these creatures? Spirit Links are not going to really save him from the Old Man combo, so I think he needs that extra Thomas Coffin and Fisher. So really he's got the Thomas Coffin, the Fisher, the Active Volcanoes, and the Blood Moon. I think all of those need to come in. That's 6 cards to sideboard in.
Well, he can take out those detonates too. There's not really anything good to target with them, and he would need, you know, more mana than he wants to spend to get rid of anything large, like if the Mirror Universe came in.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the detonates got to come out, and the Ollie from Kairos don't seem all that great because they can be immolated by Jacob and taken over. So yeah, I'd pull out the 2 Ollie from Kairos, the 2 detonates, and he's got to pull one more card. I don't know what he could pull. Maybe, like you said, the Wall of Earth, and swap in those 6 cards: the 3 Volcanoes, the Blood Moon, the Fisher, and the Thomas Coffin.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, John, so let's switch back over to the match. All right, and on 3, 1, 2, 3.
I suppose we could have let them sideboard while we talked about their sideboards, but probably won't take them too long to get through there at 1.5.
All right, John, what do we got going on here?
All right, they're just finishing up sideboarding, and they are going to get started with game 2.
Seemed like it took them quite a while to do the sideboarding here. I wonder, if Lucas went with the direction that we're thinking. If he did, I think he definitely has a shot at... that's 6 cards that can really directly compromise Jacob's strategy with the old man and his utility lance. Any predictions for this match, John? Do you think if Lucas pops those 6 in and Jacob does his 3 flash floods, I guess it's kind of like you gain 3 on one side and Lucas gains 6 on his side, so it could be a potential 3-card advantage in terms of, that change for Lucas. What do you think? What are his chances of making this a 1-1 game and going to game 3?
It shores up his game a bit, and I always like to see matches go to round 3, but I think that the red-blue deck is still favored here.
Dad, will we be done doing that by now?
Okay, so Lucas continues to shuffle up. And by the way, John, did you notice Jacob's patch, his electric eels patch that he's got there? Did you notice that in the corner of his playmat? The electric eels are one of the groups.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's really cool.
That's one of the groups that...
I don't know if that's for a group he's in or...
I definitely think it is. It's one of the groups that Gandalf the Dark, Anders, plays in, and Jacob and Anders are well acquainted. If you've seen the Gandalf the Dark channel, which everybody really likes. Oh, look at this! So right out of the gate, Lucas gets 3 red, not missing a mana drop, plays a turn 3 ball lightning, and just gets snap. Remove sold. That's really rough to see for Lucas because that's 6 damage that could have just hit straight in and really could change the game for Lucas here.
You hate remove souling a creature that's just going to go away anyway, but I think basically getting your remove soul to be a double healing salve is not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. Now, Jacob's playing 4 of those remove souls, so he's got 3 more left. That's really going to change the pace of this game. Old Man the Sea coming out on turn 3 for Jacob, and the Azure Drake on turn 4. But Lucas has the Thanos Coffin. That could be a real advantage for him. He can basically put the old man in the coffin here. And he's got Spirit Link. He's sideboarding Spirit Links. Wow, I'm surprised to see that.
Well, they're good on the flyers. They can shut those off, so that's cool.
Yeah. Now, right here, Lucas has 3 mana untapped. I would have definitely put that old man in the coffin. It costs 3 to activate. Jacob was tacked out, and he's got boomerangs. So this is really a risky move right here. There was no advantage whatsoever for Lucas to wait until Jacob's untap and let him possibly have a boomerang. I think that was That was really risky, but it worked out.
That's a fair point that he probably didn't think about, and that honestly I didn't really think about either. Usually you want to wait till, you're later to the end step. Or what happened there? There was a weird cut there.
Not sure.
Did my video skip back or something?
I'm at 32:22.
All right, let's see here. 32:22. Yeah, my video for some reason skipped back like 10 minutes. I'm not sure why.
Oh, strange. Yeah, I'm at 32:44 now.
Okay, I'm back with you.
Okay, so Clockwork Avian, that could have been a big one. Jacob doesn't have any ways to really deal with these big artifacts in terms of destroying them, but the Remove Soul number 2, Revenge of Remove Soul strikes again, and Lucas is...
Remove Soul's pretty good.
Man, it's so killer. That's another...
I know that like the card is perceived to be weaker, it's not a card that Brian Weissman really likes very much. He's talked about it before. But I think in the absence of, other counter spells and things in this format, it's kind of the best one left. I mean, I know it only deals with creatures, but like that's a big tempo thing if you can counter something early, and develop your board or save yourself some damage like he did, or take out a flyer that you're going to have problems with. Both of those Remove Souls have been pretty well placed in this particular match.
Yes. Yeah.
Ooh, Trike's hurt though. Trike's gonna be a problem for Jacob.
The ever powerful Triskelion, 6 mana, a 4/4 with the counters on it. Such a powerhouse in 4 Horsemen. It's one of the most played cards in the entire format. So things are turning around for Lucas here. He's been able to, even with his offense being double Remove Sold, with the Ball Lightning and the Clockwork going straight to the graveyard being countered, he's been able to pretty eloquently deal with Jacob's offense and strategy. The Azure Drake is Spirit Link, the Old Man of the Sea is exiled in the Tawnos Coffin, and now he does have his 4/4 Triskelion. Looks like he's getting ready to use his counters there straight away. What do you think's going on with that, John? That's really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, he untapped the coffin, and in response, he removed the Triskelion arms. That's very, very smart on Lucas's part, because now he can put the Triskelion back in the coffin. So the old man comes into play tapped, and he's able to kill it with the Triskelion. But in response, is Jacob boomeranging? So he's boomeranging the Tawnos Coffin. Ooh, interesting. I wonder why he didn't boomerang his old man.
I mean, I guess he could. Oh, that's a real kick in the balls.
Oh, he's got double boomerang. Ooh, brutal.
Yeah, no, wait for the next thing though. I'm ever so slightly ahead of you. So.
Oh no! Amnesia. Oh my God! This is the mind twist of 4 Horsemen. 3 blue and 3, right? Or is it 3 blue and 2? Or
3 blue and 3 colorless.
6.
But yeah, send everything to the dude's hand and then be like, "Oh, I'll recast it." No, you won't.
Oh,
You can discard all of it.
So Lucas just had to ditch his entire hand, and he had a bunch of good cards. Oof, he had Clockwork Avian, he had Tawnos Coffin, he had the Eternal Flame, and I didn't see what else he put in the graveyard, but this is absolutely devastating for Lucas. He really had a good grip on this game, and the double boomerang with Amnesia causing Lucas to discard his entire hand, basically. Massive.
Well, this
swing.
also shows you why it's a little dangerous to just be like firing off tricarms when you don't really need to, because like he was actually in a better position when he had a 4/4 colorless creature to be beating in with. He didn't really need to do all of that. He could have just left the old man in the coffin and been attacking every turn, which is what he should have been doing. And I mean, certainly those boomerangs would have come into play at some point and, you know, thrown a monkey wrench in his game. But because of the way that, you know, he sequenced his stuff, it really made maximum value for Jacob's plays. And now he's just sitting there with a 1/1 and nothing else.
Yeah, well, you know? he casts Yidwin Ifrit, which could be, you know, a pretty good attacker, but it gets remove soul with remove soul number 3. He's top decking here, getting some pretty good top decks. Triskelion number 2 coming down. So definitely worth it to put the Yidwin out there for remove soul bait and then get the Triskelion in play. But look at this, John. That Shatterstorm was hiding in the corner of Jacob's sideboard. We didn't talk about that, but we had Energy Flux and Shatterstorm in the sideboard. It looks like he's got 2 Shatterstorms and 1 Energy Flux, and here's one of the Shatterstorms just wrecking Lucas's robots. Ugh. Brutal. Wow. Jacob's really taken over command and control of this game with some pretty spectacular plays.
He just needs a threat. I mean, eventually he'll draw another, you know, ghost ship or something to start chipping in damage with. But thus far, threats have eluded him. He's just had answers, which is, you know, okay, I guess. It's gotten him this far.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, hats off to Jacob for playing so patiently and strategically. That double boomerang amnesia, that's going to go down in full Horseman history as one of the most brutal moves. And here's another Shatterstorm dealing with the second Clockwork Avian. All the answers for Jacob.
Just when you think he's like ripped a card to get back in it, you know, you're like, oh, well, you know, he's jamming another robot. Maybe one of them will stick. I mean, I guess that's still the plan, but thus far, every single threat's been answered.
Yeah, you know, you got to hand it to Lucas. He's got to be really frustrated, right? Because there's been several points in this game where he really took command and control, and each time Jacob has clawed his way back with some very crafty maneuvers.
Got an active volcano for the old man. That's pretty good.
Uh-oh. I think we're... Oh, yeah. Where are you at, John?
Let me check. Did I get ahead of you somehow?
I'm at 44-24.
I'm at 44-19.
Okay, so let me just pause here and tell me when you're at 44-38, and then we'll be synced up.
I am at 44-38 right now.
All right. Okay, so there was a flash flood dealing with the Yidwin Ifrit on Jacob's part, and then, like John pointed out, the active volcano dealing with the old man. There's these active volcanoes and flash floods are super powerful, 1-for-1 instant removals when you've got red-blue. Okay, now this is interesting. This is Triskelion number 3, right? For Lucas coming down. And, oh my God, remove soul number 4. Holy crap. Jacob just always has the answers here. I mean, remove soul is one of the only answers other than Artifact Blast that deals with Triskelion effectively. You know, anything else, you can still fire off your damage. Here, it's just straight up countered. And Lucas comes down with Yidwin Ifrit number 3. That Spirit Link has really paid off, John. You know, it's kept that Azure Drake at bay the entire game.
Yeah, and that thing would have done, 20 damage or more by now.
Yeah, it would have been game over by now for Lucas for sure if he didn't have a way to deal with it. we didn't talk about Lucas sideboarding in the Spirit Links, but it's been a really effective move for him here. Okay, he's got a Chain Lightning now. This is risky because Jacob has a ton of mountains. Are we going to see a bunch of Chain Lightning bouncing back and forth here?
Or maybe just a big, why is my brain not working? Eternal Flame. He could fire off a huge Eternal Flame at some point here.
Okay, so Jacob's coming in with the Yidwin Ifrit. So this is interesting. Without the Maze of Ith on Jacob's part, this game, the Yidwin's actually going to start dealing some damage here. He doesn't want to block with the Drake because it won't kill the Drake, but it'll give Lucas 3 life. So he's taking it straight on the chin, but that's bringing him down to, what is that, 28? Jacob's at 28? Or Lucas is at 28. Lucas is at 28 and Jacob's at 14. Excuse me.
Is it better to take 3 or to give your opponent 3? I mean, I think in a lot of scenarios, it's just better to let your opponent have the 3, but I don't know. It just depends. I mean, eventually he has to kill Lucas, right? And so he doesn't want to let him get a huge life reserve.
Right.
I guess it just depends on what these guys top deck, because they've both used so many cards at this point. I'm kind of surprised that either of them still has a hand, but they both do. Like, they both still have cards sitting in the back. Ooh, he's got an active volcano for what? For the ghost ship? I mean, it can just regenerate.
Yeah, this is a immolation ghost ship hitting in for 4 in the air. That's pretty powerful. Lucas is steadily building up his mountains. I wonder if very late game, a big Eternal Flame could bring Jacob into danger zone with Lucas at such a high life. But you know what I'm thinking, John? In Jacob's sideboard, he's got that. Was that Jacob that had it, or was it Lucas? Lucas had the one of Mirror Universe, right? Or was it Jacob? I'm looking at the decks here on my phone. Where is Jacob's deck?
Yeah, Jacob has the Mirror Universe.
Jacob has the Mirror Universe.
I don't think it's going to matter in this matchup.
Well, I wonder if he sideboarded it out. This game's definitely going long, and Lucas is definitely starting to claw his way back in. Look at this. Here's Dancing Scimitar coming down. That is a 1/5 flying artifact creature that can block and deal with the 4/2 regenerating ghost ship.
Yeah, it's an answer.
Dancing Scimitar is such an interesting card. It never sees play in any other old school format, and it's able to block so many powerful creatures in the 4 Horsemen meta that it's actually a pretty decent defensive creature that can chip in over the long term of the game. 1/5 for 4 colorless mana. You can play it in any deck. So if you're Lucas, what are you thinking here is your path to victory to make this a 1-1 game, John? Oh, old man coming down. And what happened there? The Yidwin gets Diamond Valleyed. I missed what Jacob was playing there. Did he target the Yidwin Ifrit with something? Six more life for Lucas, bringing him up to 39. Wow, what a life total. And here comes Ivory Tower for Jacob. How many cards does Jacob have in hand here? He's got 5 cards in hand, so Jacob's going to start gaining life. Ivory Tower gives you 1 life for each card in your hand above 4. So that's going to start trickling Jacob's life upward as well. Interesting. Quite the battle raging here. Immolation coming down on the Dancing Scimitar and a Chain Lightning as well to finish it off. Is that right? Ah, no, he blocked the ghost ship with it, and then the immolation after the attack. So that's one way to deal with, creatures, and how immolation can really shine is after combat, playing the immolation on the already damaged creature, giving it -2 on its defense. Spirit Link number 2 coming down for Lucas. That's going to effectively deal with the ghost ship. So now Ghost Ship and Azure Drake are both Spirit Linked. Old Man number 4, is that coming down for Jacob? Wow, this has been a real back and forth battle. Lucas's life total is so...
Just like the other game, though, I think that the longer the game goes on, it starts to favor Jacob more and more heavily, because now, just like last game, we now see Lucas sitting on a pile of land and nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacob has some stuff out to work with. So I think that it's just tough for him to win this game.
Yeah.
I mean, he is counting his mountain, so I think he has a giant Eternal Flame someplace there.
Right.
I mean, he might be able to, let's see, he's got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So he could actually, if he has Eternal Flame, he could just kill Jacob with it. Jacob has no way to stop it other than a single mana drain.
Well, he's got that Mirror Universe, though, and I don't know if Lucas took our advice and he sideboarded out his detonates. If Jacob sideboarded in Mirror, that could totally take this game away from Lucas, because Lucas is at he's at 32 life now. I'm really starting to hope that Lucas did not sideboard out that detonate in case Jacob plays it, because that could totally kill the game for him. 4 damage with a Pyrotechnics to take out. What did he target there?
The Old Man.
The Old Man. Okay.
And then it got sacked to City of Shadows, but I don't I don't know. This is tough. I'd almost be tempted to just be burning Jacob to the face. I mean, I guess he wanted to get that Old Man out of there so he could still play stuff potentially. So there's a Ball Lightning coming down.
Ah, finally he can get through. This is like Ball Lightning number 3, and all the remove souls are out of Jacob's deck. So he's gonna have to figure out what to do with this 6 damage Ball Lightning. The great thing about these 2/4 flyers like the Ghost Ship and the Azure Drake is they've got 4 defense, so they can block that Ball Lightning, and you only end up trampling for 2 damage.
Yeah, so he was able to block with Azure Drake, and then also sacrifice the Azure Drake to gain some life.
Jacob has the recall in his deck too, where late game, if he saves some lands in his hand, he may be able to recall multiple cards, potentially 3 cards from his graveyard if he plays it right. So that could also turn things around for Jacob. And he's back to 19 life here, John, just from the Ivory Tower, giving him a life here and there, and the Diamond Valley.
I don't know if he's gained from the tower yet, but he will be soon. He's got 4 cards in his hand right now.
Quite the battle going on. A lot of back and forth here. This has turned out to be a really competitive and interesting match between Lucas and Jacob. So if you're Jacob and you didn't sideboard in Mirror Universe, you've burned through a lot of your creatures. You do have that 1 recall. What's going through your mind if you're Jacob here about how you can claw your way out of this game?
Well, I don't think he's really worried about it. He's got 19 life, and he's still got threats in his deck. I mean, I'm not sure what they're discussing here. Maybe the interaction of both blocking and sacrificing a dude, because like you wouldn't be able to soak up the trample damage and gain the life from the same creature that you're sacking. Like if you sacked it, it would no longer be absorbing damage.
Yeah, because there's no more quote unquote damage on the stack, right? All damage is dealt together.
Yeah, but I mean it.
Yeah. So what happened there though? Because it looks like he took the 2 damage. Did he gain 4 from the Drake? Because I don't know.
He sacked the Drake to the Diamond Valley to gain 4, and I think it was the Drake that had the Spirit Link on it.
Yeah.
So he was able to stop it from doing any damage, I guess.
By Diamond Valley it. Yeah, so he blocked it before the damage step, sacked it to the Diamond Valley, ends up just taking 2.
And now he sacked his other Drake as well.
Right. Gaining 4 more. Bringing...
Why did he sack? Oh, because it was going to get Active Volcano.
Yeah, Lucas played Active Volcano. I think that's Active Volcano number 3 for him. So Jacob's now got 6 cards in hand. He's up to 24 life, and he's going to be gaining 2 life per turn. So this match is really starting to slip away from Lucas. I wonder if these guys are just going to go all the way down to the bottom of their deck and the last cards. Is this going to be a draw, John?
No. I mean, Jacob just played another Ghost Ship. Like, he's just going to be able to start swinging in with that.
Yeah, Ghost Ship, 2/4 flyer, regenerator.
Really. And I mean, he's just sitting there letting his hand build up, and so now, he's got, I think, 7 cards in his hand. So like, he's out of the danger zone. Like, I don't really see how Lucas wins this game at this point.
Yeah, it's not looking great. I mean, there were so many key moments earlier in the match where Lucas had what seemed like a red mountain iron grip on the game, but there were some really, really interesting plays by Jacob, including that double boomerang amnesia that just really set Lucas back quite a bit, and Jacob took back command and control.
I mean, it's wild that this is a game where one person discarded their hand 15 turns ago or something, and the game's even still going on. And, their life totals are both well above 20. So it's going to be a bit of a slog. I mean, he did just drop a second Ghost Ship, so that'll double the clock. He'll be doing 4 a turn now. But even at that rate, it's going to take a little while to close this game out.
Yeah. I mean, hats off to Lucas for being able to survive and navigate his way through that double boomerang amnesia, discarding your entire hand move. But yeah, he's still just not in a great position to be able to win this. He's now taking 4 per turn from the second Ghost Ship on the board. He's now down to 23 life. And yeah, you're right, John. It looks like it's going to be curtains for Lucas here. Those Ghost Ships can be regenerated. His only hope is Atano's Coffin here. Fisher is the answer.
Yeah, Fisher's a good answer for Ghost Ship. It got rid of one of them.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot that Lucas had Fisher. It's such a strong card. It can deal with any of these, utility lands like Maze of Ith or a Mishra's Workshop. He's got 2 in the main board and 1 in the sideboard. So hopefully he sideboarded his extra one in, and he may be able to deal with that second Ghost Ship if he can draw into it. Meanwhile, here comes Azure Drake number 4.
Yeah, just replaces the 2/4 flyer with another 2/4 flyer. It's a pretty solid strategy. I mean, I played mono blue in this format for a long time with all of the various X4 flyers, and it was pretty potent. And Jacob, of course, also has access to red spells, so I mean, he's even in a better position. Red blue is pretty tough in this format.
Yeah, really impressive play on Jacob's part. And also on Lucas's, you know, it's hard to keep her cool in these longer matches. I know I've lost my cool plenty of times in these longer, more frustrating games, and Lucas is keeping his head about him. He's not conceding. He's hanging in there. He's playing smart, but he's falling behind with every turn. Here comes Ball Lightning number 4, I think, for Lucas.
Yeah, it's not very good at this stage.
Yeah, Jacob's got so much life now. He's at, what is he at, 21? He's got 6 cards in hand, so he's gaining 2 per turn. He really doesn't care much about damage at this point. It takes a double chain lightning to get rid of that second Drake, and in response, Jacob just Diamond Valleys it and gains 4 more life, bringing him to 26. Oof, looking real tough for Lucas here.
And then here comes another ghost ship to replace it. He's got a steady stream of 2/4 flyers.
So I guess that other ghost ship was not ghost ship number 4. It was number 3. Here comes number 4. And yeah, this air attack, the relentless blue flying air assault, which you mentioned, John, was really powerful in your early decks, is really starting to take its toll for Lucas.
Getting a library count here. He's whittled him down enough that I don't think it's going to matter. That puts Lucas down to 3. So Lucas needs to do whatever it is that he's going to do this turn. Otherwise, it's all over.
Yeah, it looks like it's curtains for Lucas. That earlier double boomerang amnesia costing Lucas almost his entire hand. He had 1 land in his hand. I think that really turned this game around. Along with good sideboarding on Jacob's part. I mean, he didn't have much to think about, just putting in the 3 flash floods, but he got all of them early and has been able to use them effectively.
The regeneration on the ghost ship's a pretty big deal too, because he could have used that burn spell to get rid of one of them, but not with regeneration there.
Yeah.
So animates factory, Diamond Valleys it to gain a little bit of life. Not gonna keep him in it for very much longer. What does he draw? Nothing relevant. A land.
Yep. I mean, he could go for the massive Eternal Flame and kill himself.
Certainly some style points to be had there, I guess. It wouldn't kill Jacob, though, for the draw.
There it is. Yeah.
It's too bad, because there was a point in this game where a big Eternal Flame could have put a huge dent in Jacob, but then he started gaining life, so...
Wow. So the guys are showing their hands here. Looky there. Jacob's got the Mirror Universe. He did sideboard it in, and he's got the recall as well to get whatever back he needs. You know, Lucas has got the Thanos Coffin, the Strip Mine, Dancing Scimitar, Triskelion. This was a real tough matchup for Lucas, and really well played by Jacob. All right, so let's switch back over to the graphics here. So in this matchup, the Old Man in the Sky, Jacob's blue flying immolation control deck, and the spicy City of Shadows with the Old Man immolation combo was really effective. Lucas's Ollie Red robots really struggled to keep pace with all the counter magic, the remove souls, that amnesia, and even the life gaining at the end. So Lucas's Ollie Red robots goes down in flames, and we will see Jacob proceeding to the semi finals. And if you've watched our other matches, you'll see that Lorenzo was able to beat Derek's Suck My Clock, the clockwork deck that was really cool. And Lorenzo was who's kind of returning and also doing quite well in the Four Horsemen tournaments. He's making it to the semifinals for the second time, and he'll be facing off against Jacob's deck in the next semifinals rounds. As we bring this match and video to a close today, please check out tournament number 20, fourhorsemenmagic.com. Go to current tournaments and check out tournament number 20. This is going to be running April 4th through May 11th. Join us on Facebook and check out and compete for these really cool top 8 prizes that John's made for us and the Ken Meyer Jr. Guardian Beast playmats. These are some great free prizes that we give out. And with that, John, thanks for joining me today. I'm glad we got this quarterfinals match in before the tournament 20 started. And hopefully we can finish these and wrap up all the videos so that our players can see everything before tournament 20 starts up here in a week or two.
Sounds good. Let's get them out there.
All right. Thanks for watching and thanks for joining us, everybody. And we hope to see you on the playmats. See you next time.